This episode is brought to you by The Front Porch. Have you tried Front Porch Brunch? You think their fried chicken is great? Then you gotta check out their chicken fried steak. There's also Eggs Benedict, chilaquiles, big brunch salads, and of course, New Orleans-style beignets for dessert afterwards. Or hell, before. After all, life's too short not to have beignets first. Share a pitcher of mimosas, spicy margaritas, or their signature bourbon punch, the Porch Swing. Write your own brunch stories at the Front Porch. Open for brunch Saturday and Sunday from 9:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Get you some Southern Mission hospitality in the morning. Also open 7 nights a week. Make your reservations at thefrontporchsf.com.
Maybe it's the Goonies era kid that I am. It felt like a little bit of an adventure. It was like, go to the mall. My mom would give us a certain amount of money, and she's like, how did you guys see all those movies and feed yourselves?
That was artist/bartender Kundan Baidwan. I'm Jeff, and this is Storied San Francisco, a podcast about artists, activists, and small businesses that make this city unlike any other. In this episode, meet and get to really know Kundan. Longtime listeners will recognize her from the 2 episodes she's already been on, as well as various Storied SF art shows she's been in. Speaking of, Kundan will be one of the 6 women artists in next month's Keep It Local show at Babylon Burning in South of Market. More on that later, but mark your calendars for the opening party on Friday, May 23rd. Here's Kundan Baidwan.
You know what's funny is my dad was talking to Pandit in India some years back and called me to ask me what time of day I was born. And I was like, I think you would have a slightly better memory of that day. But yeah, it was around 7 a.m.
Okay.
on January 19th, 1978.
Do you know day of the week?
Oh, I don't actually.
We could figure it out.
We probably could.
Yeah.
Yeah, Good Samaritans Hospital in San Jose, California.
Okay.
Same hospital my older siblings were born in. Yeah, and then we moved to Fremont when I was about a year and a half.
Were y'all living in San Jose? Or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so kind of full circle, my parents have recently moved back to that house after many years of not living in that house, decades of not living in that house.
Back to the same house.
Back in San Jose. Yeah.
Okay, shit. And what brought them to the area, man? I will now make you talk about your parents,
so
who I met and who are lovely people.
My dad came out for school. His school route was a little convoluted, and he eventually ended up going to University of Nevada, Reno. And that's where he got his degree from I believe it was mechanical engineering. And he was married before he met my mom. That marriage didn't last, but my eldest brother is from that that relationship. And then he went back to India to visit and meet some eligible young ladies. And it was my dad's one of his younger sisters who was like, this is the one. She's a stunner.
Can I say this bitch? It was this bitch.
Yeah. My mom would blush at the word of anyone calling her that. She's too proper. But yeah, no, my aunt knew that my aunt was just a standout, intelligent and beautiful, just kind of full package. And my father agreed.
Were they friends, your aunt and your mom at the time?
No, it was kind of
just
meeting through channels of, kind of that, I don't want to say like aristocracy, but they're not, they traveled in similar circles kind of things.
Got it.
And yeah, and my dad basically courted my mom for a very short period of time and asked if they were going to get married, if she was cool or not, and my mom agreed, and yeah.
Do you know if coming to the U.S. was ever on your mom's radar before she met your dad?
I don't really think she ever thought she would get married and move abroad.
Right.
She was still in graduate school.
Okay.
Everything kind of moved fast, and I did check with him, some years ago, but yeah, neither of them have buyer's remorse. So
there you go. That's a long investment.
Yeah.
So, can I ask just quickly where in India your mom was?
I actually don't know where she was living. My family is Punjabi, but my mom was an army kid, so she moved around a lot.
Okay.
So it could have been like Kanpur or Batur. Those are like two places where my grandfather was for a good portion of his life.
Okay.
And my mom's, some of her family from her, a lot of her family from her mom's side are from there. So
Okay.
yeah, I don't know exactly where she was living at the time, but she was going to school, I believe, in Delhi.
Got it.
But yeah, the family unit, I don't know.
And then so he convinced her to get married.
I mean, he asked her.
He asked, yeah.
They went on some dates and stuff.
There's some
know?
charm in there. I'm
Yeah.
guessing some. Yeah.
They actually went they went out for like a movie, and
yeah.
they had dates. Like I said, my dad courted her, and
Yep.
so it just was kind of on a quicker time. It was on a time crunch.
Urgent-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so when they came back, did they go to Reno or was it Bay
No,
Area
so my dad
already?
was living in the Bay.
He was already in the Bay.
Yeah, he had actually lived in San Francisco briefly in the late 60s. I want to say a couple years when he was a young engineer.
Do you know where in the city he lives?
He actually lived on Haight for a brief bit, but that didn't last. It was I think it was like an SRO type deal. And that was the summer of love, and it was just too much. And then he ended up living in Soma.
Okay.
But yeah, his ties to Reno were good and strong. I still love Reno to this day. And yeah, so when my mom moved out here, they were living in San Jose, moved around a couple times. My dad was really smart about investing in property when he could. But yeah, we moved to Fremont when I was, like I said, not quite 2 years old.
Super young.
And I lived in Fremont for most of my upbringing until I went to college.
Like your first memories are Fremont.
Or Fremont, for sure. I mean, maybe my aunt's backyard. Like Christmas was always in San Jose at my aunt's house. The aunt that was the one who like honed in on my mom. Yeah. So yeah, that was way young. And
80s? Like are your first memories 80s?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was born in 78, January of 78. So even though I was beginning, I don't remember things that were pre 2 years old, I don't think.
Right.
If I did, I'd totally be making it up.
And I would accept that because it would be creative, but let's not talk about that. No, so like, like early-ish 80s, 83, 84, 85, those are probably your first memories.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of stuff did you like to do as a wee one?
I loved dressing up, playing dress up. I was often left behind because I was the youngest kid.
I was about to ask, yes.
So, yeah, I would often just do things by myself, play in the mirror, kind of sing songs. I loved hanging out with the adults because they wouldn't run away from me.
Or they'd be arrested.
I was constantly asking for recipes. I thought I was going to be some culinary genius or something. But yeah.
Interesting.
I was always about like, let's saddle up to the kitchen and find out who's cooking what.
Did you?
I would love to run away to the next door neighbors and just hang out there.
Did the adults let you cook?
I don't know if they. Yeah, I mean, some people let me kind of stir pots. My mom definitely did.
Yeah.
But no, like I loved anybody's attention, and I would just seek whoever was willing. And like I said, I was oftentimes at the next door neighbor's house because her children were grown, and she enjoyed having a little precocious thing like me around.
Yeah.
So my mom would be like, "Where is she now?" Oh, next door neighbors again.
Yeah.
I got to watch cartoons and eat cookies. They loved me. It was great.
Amazing.
It was fantastic.
Almost like an auntie or an uncle, right?
Very much like that, yeah.
But the neighbor, it's even closer and easier. You said dress up, like we're like putting on adult clothes or
yeah, if I could,
just whatever,
even my own.
Yeah, I remember as being a kid, like my dad's shoes fucking tripped me out because that's like my tiny ass foot, and then trying to like pick it up, and it was all heavy and. Yeah. Oh
yeah, high heels, dresses.
Yeah.
Yeah, my aunt would let us do like just wreak havoc on her makeup, so that was fun. That was more of what we would do. Going to my aunt's house in San Jose was just like a free for all, basically.
Yeah. So
we got away with murder.
Your aunt's house, so cousins over there on that side.
Just one cousin in that house growing up. That was my cousin Mickey. He was like a brother as well. We always, anything he did, he was our bigger, older, cooler cousin. So everything he did, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of cousins. He was just the one that it was like when they first kind of moved out from India, they lived with my folks, so that was a very like just natural overlapping intrinsic bond. But I'm very fortunate that I'm for as many cousins as I have. Like 26 first cousins.
Okay, wow.
I feel pretty close to almost all of them.
That's amazing.
You know?
Yep.
I think that's I don't know many people that even my partner Chris is sometimes like you have so much family and like you talk to all of them. Like I'm like yeah. And I have memories with so many.
That's also just your reality. Like you don't know anything different. But I'm with Chris. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I applaud my parents. My dad was always really like, you have to like meet your family, and it doesn't matter how distantly you're related, they're family.
Right.
You know, you might not like all of them, but they're your family. You love them.
In fact, you won't like all of them.
No, I'm like I said, I'm really fortunate. But yeah, we were able to, you know, and when I do see people after not having seen them for years, we kind of pick up wherever we are.
There's like constant reunions.
Constant, yeah.
Amazing.
That's why we love a good wedding, man.
Yeah.
That brings us all together.
Are any of your cousins your age or close enough that it's like you're basically the same age?
I'm on the younger end of the spectrum of cousins. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of beneficial for me. I got to always like kind of learn from the elders, and then all my cousins that are my age or younger actually were a little farther away, like Louisiana, India.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah. I had one cousin who was a few years younger than me who was here for part of her youth, but then her folks moved back to India, so then she moved to India with them, and then back for college and back and forth. But, yeah, for the most part, I was usually the youngest cousin around.
Okay. I'm going to call it an advantage because I had the same thing.
I think so,
It's an advantage because you also, like, everyone's there.
Everyone's always looking out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like I learned so much about taste in movies and music, and just, you know, like I was always having my horizons expanded. Sometimes against my will, but okay.
I'm glad you said it. I also relate to that. But I like, you know, now that I'm not a kid anymore, I'm like, it's because they were older and they had access to shit.
Yeah.
Either by their lived experience or just like their actual age. Like if they're 16, they could drive, or for, you know, just one example, or like get into movies or whatever it is. So.
And having your elder cousins, siblings, whatever, be your constant chaperones. You know, they were kind of learning while you were learning too.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that was maybe it's the Goonies era kid that I am. It felt like a little bit of an adventure. It was like go to the mall. My mom would give us a certain amount of money, and she's like, "How did you guys see all those movies and feed yourselves?"
Well, Mom, do you really want to know?
We did tell my mom. We made my mom do a double feature. We made her do a double feature when my folks moved to Phoenix after I went to college. And yeah, we made my mom, and she was kind of mortified that her children were, you know, such little delinquents. But I think she enjoyed the you know, adrenaline
thrift
rush
of it all,
and the adrenaline. I think I think it's a twofer.
It is.
Right?
It is. Okay, so now let's move on beyond, I don't know, like early grade school, like maybe to your middle school. Like I feel like that's when a lot of people are just, even if it's not what sticks, it's like when you're starting to like experiment with things and learn things and figure out what you like.
It's like a whole weird changing of the guard. Like your friendships
they change.
They change. You got new people in the fold.
So what was that version of that for you?
I became a bad student.
Okay.
I tried to correct my ways, but I kind of like was just like, whatever, dude. I think I didn't feel like I had tried too hard when I was younger.
Okay.
But then stuff got more challenging, and then I was, I'm like, what if I just don't turn stuff in? It'll be fine, right? Awkwardness, just, you know, puberty, all of it. I also went on a cruise with my family and got my hair braided, and this was also the era of Milli Vanilli, so I had I got tortured for my hairstyles, but you know what? I was an individual. They were just jealous. They were all sheep. Anyways.
Well, this is not fair to new listeners of this episode, but I know this about you, that like the creativity started really fucking young. I think that's right.
My mom,
I think it's fair to say.
Okay, my mother is an amazingly talented, just illustrator. While she was chatting on the phone with somebody, she would just doodle out these magnificent portraits of, imaginary people. My grandmother, her mom was also a painter. So I think there was just something in me that always had that creative nature.
Yeah.
And I think we all had it. My siblings, my sister, my brother, and I, we were all from my mom's children, those three, not necessarily my half brother, but my sister is a writer. My brother took a foray into writing for a minute. I think we always had a little bit of a creative outlet, and I don't know if it was just pecking order that I felt more inclined to just follow my bliss, follow my art.
I wonder things about, because I'm the youngest also, it's like, or did they just give up? My parents, because they're tired.
I know they definitely gave up a little bit because my baby book only has like 1 page filled in.
Oh, that stuff for sure. They're like, God damn it, we've done this before.
No, I think there's I don't know. I feel like there's I believe in there's like this way that eldest kids always end up having to be the responsible ones, whether they shirk the responsibility or not. They usually get dumped with a lot of responsibility.
There's more to prove, I feel like, for oldists.
And then, like the second kid can get away a little bit more on charm, and you don't have to learn language, or somebody else is translating for you the whole time. So I think that I benefit. I feel like I got the benefit of being the youngest, that I was, as much as my parents still didn't want me to study like art in school, they wanted me to do what I originally said I was going to go to college for, which was psychology. Which I did a minor in it, but that just I don't know if here I am a bartender, the world's most underpaid type of psychologist.
Correct. Tip your bartenders, y'all. They're solving problems, whether you know it or not.
It was, San Diego was not necessarily my first choice of school, but for however it all worked out, I feel like you are where you're intended to be, or wherever you want to be. We've all made life choices. Sometimes they weren't made for us, but I'm in a pretty good place, I think. I love where I work. I love that it affords me the opportunity to keep doing my art. But yeah, San Diego was a beautiful place to go to college. It wasn't necessarily like the arts center that I would have hoped for it. But again, I didn't know I was going to be studying art going into college.
Right.
I was interested in it. I took art classes in high school. I always enjoyed the practice. I just didn't think it would be something that would be sort of front and center in my...
I wonder if that's because that's what you're told. I don't. Where I'm from, people are told that. Like, oh, art is just something fun that you do. It's not a career. I mean, it probably happens here. Like, it's right. It's a trope. It's like
it is.
Yeah.
And
no.
Yeah. I mean, I tried to get the 9-to-5 job, but just
Can we go back to high school real fast?
Oh yeah.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I like to try to keep things a little bit chronological.
I gotta jump around. Sorry.
No, all good. So high school in Fremont.
Yep.
And
Mission San Jose High School, class of '96.
What kind of things were you doing there?
Again, I was taking art classes. I was making friends with the weird kids, like some of them were in band, some of them were in theater, but like we didn't necessarily, it wasn't too cliquey. Okay. I don't feel, maybe at the time it did, but I think in the 90s there was a little bit of like of a breakdown of that. At least I felt like I could kind of get along with almost anybody in my class. But I definitely had my core friends that were, a little bit just slightly weird.
The weirdos, yeah.
Yeah, just...
And you have your own identity. Even if your groups mix, you have your own identity. Like, you are the whatever. Right?
Yeah, I don't feel like any of us had like a stereotype. Like, none of us were a trope.
Right.
But we just gravitated to each other. We had an affinity towards each other, and it just felt very like we don't judge too much.
Yep.
And
have we talked about the movie Dee Dee? Have you seen Dee Dee?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I did.
Is it? Aaron's like It's accurate.
It's very
100%
it's
accurate.
very accurate to just growing up in the Bay.
Yep.
In like in with just and I mean that I feel like was a little bit after my era because of the social media connections, like the being able to communicate on the computer. That was I was born in the 70s, so that was a little past mine, but no, the vibe, the skateboarding
the way they
in
talk
the
to each other.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yes. The razzing.
Yes, all of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
It
so
was-
you lived that life. In the
and of
East
course
Bay.
there was also like on top of all of just regular junior high school stuff, then I also had this big Indian community overlap, and I didn't necessarily go to school with all of my Indian community friends.
Right.
But yeah, my parents, were, I remember being young and it was being really exciting to like go hang out with other Indian families. My, again, one of my, that same aunt, she would have people over to her house. My parents had this vast community of folks from like Saratoga, San Jose, further south,
Oh, shit.
all the way up. Even like the former owner of Gaylord Restaurant, the big fancy Indian restaurant here in San Francisco, like
Embarcadero.
my folks, my dad knew him. Like there's so many people, but they forged a nice little network of Punjabi families in Fremont, and we would do these like dance performances, and it was some a little torturous, but also like you kind of have to go through that a little bit to bond. So it almost felt like a second tier of almost like instead of cousins, it's the community. So which I'm still good friends with some of those people today. Like it's so I feel like we got lucky to have so many layers growing up and so many influences to shape us, and how we all still got to be super different and individual. But high school was part of finding out your own voice and finding out who you are. And I probably hated high school at the time. I probably was. I definitely know I had my moments, my meltdowns.
Yeah.
It's a confusing time for everyone, but I don't know. I made it through, I think, pretty okay.
And did you go to college straight away, or?
Yeah. I went to UC San Diego.
Before we get to that choice to go to San Diego, I'm guessing at some point before you went to college, you came to visit San Francisco. Because this is a podcast about San Francisco.
Sorry.
I want to hear
time.
like early. Do you remember your first impression of the city, or?
I don't know if I remember my first impression. I always remembered I had a preferred route. I wanted to always come over the Bay Bridge. Because coming from Fremont, you could come across 237 and come up through, South City, which was cool because you got to see the stacked houses, and they looked like little matchbox on the side, and the big South San Francisco, on the side of the hill. But I loved coming across the Bay Bridge because it was the wall of fog, and it felt like you were on this crazy roller coaster and didn't know where the road was going to go. Like, where's the bridge? Oh my God, our car's just going to disappear into it.
As a kid, that'd be rad.
And it's just, I think it had this like majesty of cutting through the fog and the coming across Treasure Island, and you see Coit Tower and the the San Francisco Bridge, and you just Golden Gate Bridge rather, and it's just
the pyramid,
all of
the skyline.
Yeah, the skyline, and it was more exciting. But we would often come up. One of my mom's best friends was living in San Francisco for years, and so we would come up through South City often.
San Mateo Bridge, or? Is that one?
Yeah, sometimes we just take 237 and come up.
Is that
you didn't
Dumbarton?
even have to.
Which one is that?
Dumbarton.
That's
we take
Dumbarton. Okay.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
We were kind of equal bridge offenders, I guess, except for Golden Gate because it was nowhere near it. But
right.
But yeah, I think it was just there was an excitement of coming in to San Francisco. It was, even if it was the touristy stuff, even though I've yet to be to Alcatraz.
Yeah, we've talked about the local people from.
Right?
Have you been to Alcatraz?
I think there was.
My wife's never been.
A school field trip, but we would often get pulled out of school a little bit early before summer holidays and just go to India for the summer. So it was a lot of visits to India growing up.
It was like Alcatraz or India.
I know, right?
We're going to
Would you
India.
rather miss a month of school? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, correct.
Like I said, we were often just having dinner at my mom's friend's house, but there was something always exciting about coming to San Francisco, and oh my gosh, even just going to SFO whenever there was a visitor, because then you would get a Toblerone too.
Oh, shit.
Because, international airport, yeah.
Duty free.
Yeah, always doing being willing to be like, I'll be the person that helps you, because they started doing the carpool lane, so you need an extra body. I'm small. You can fit all the luggage coming from India and me.
I've already mentioned the word thrift, and it's something I relate to. Okay, last thing, and I would like to take a break, actually.
Okay.
After this. But the decision to go, not necessarily like, oh, I'm going to go to college, but like, why San Diego?
So I really wanted to go to NYU, but it was really expensive. And my sister had been... I had gone to undergrad in UC San Diego.
Okay.
And it felt like, well, I can go really far from home, but I can also have the comfort of being in California and having my sister there. So it was stretching my wings. When I was originally intending on going, I didn't realize my parents were going to be moving to Phoenix, which would actually be kind of closer. But I think it was just nice I wanted to go somewhere.
California, but different. And was your sister there at the time that you moved?
She had graduated from UC San Diego, and she was in between her undergrad and then going to law school at University of San Diego, one of the 3 big universities down there, the private Catholic one.
That was Kundan Baidwan. Look for a bonus episode dropping tomorrow with SF Films' Jesse Fairbanks. The SF Film Festival kicks off this Thursday, April 17th, and runs through April 27th. Then check back next week for part 2 with Kundan. That drops 1 week from today, wherever you get podcasts. Music for Storied San Francisco was created, curated, and produced by Otis McDonald. Aaron Lim of Bitch Talk Podcast is our contributing producer. And the show is produced and hosted by me, Jeff Hunt. Now in the 7th season, we have more than 250 episodes available wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out the refreshed website, which I'm still working hard to repopulate with all the episodes. That's storiedsf.com. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, please rate and review the show. You can also rate us on Spotify. Find us on Instagram and Blue Sky at storiedsf. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, stay weird, stay informed, keep your eyes open, and we'll see you next time on Storied San Francisco. We acknowledge and respect the first humans of the unceded land we call San Francisco, the Ramaytush Ohlone. We condemn the genocide of these and other tribes across the Western Hemisphere. We honor their legacy and history, and we support rematriation and sovereignty efforts.
This podcast is a proud member of the BFF.FM podcast network. Learn more at podcasts.bff.fm.
BFF.FM, best frequencies forever.